So the loop examples that we've looked at so far have started typically from 0 or 1 and they've gone up by 1 each time, but loops don't have to do that. They can have different starting points and the change amount can vary as well. So let's just have a look at some examples of that. So I'm going to construct a loop, so let's go for, and I'm going to have an initial value and let's call it my number. I want to demonstrate a different variable. I mean, you don't have to use $i, you can use whatever you like. So let's use my number, and instead of it starting from 0, let's start it from 5, for example. There we go. So my number is going to be our counter. It's going to keep track of how many times we've gone around the loop. And for example, let's have our variable continue. Let's have our loop continue while that is less than 10. There we go. That is less than 10. So my number is going to start with a value of 5, and the moment that my number becomes 10 or more, we will come crashing out of the loop. So let's change the value of my number, and let's increment it by 1, for example, just so it's the same as in the previous examples, plus plus, and let's print it out. So let's go, let's have a paragraph, and let's go the value is, and I'm going to, in that point there, I'm just going to print my number, and we'll close the paragraph off like that. So my number is going to have an initial value of 5. We're going to add 1 to it over and over again until it becomes equal to 10. So let's save that, back over to here, let's run it. And there we go, you can see the moment that we hit the value 10, we fall out of the loop, and any code that happened to exist down here would run, or any HTML down here would be processed. So that's the numbers between 5 and 9. Now of course it doesn't have to be like that. You know, we could, instead of having something which adds 1, we could change it. So we could go $my number, and let's go plus 2. So each time we go around the loop, what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 to it instead of 1. So let's run that again. So you can see it goes 5, we add 2 to it, 7, we add 2 to it, 9, we add 2 to it, we hit 11, and of course at that moment this condition becomes false and we drop out of the loop. Well, there's a different thing we could do here. We could, for example, I'll leave that one in here, we could start with a number higher and we could count down. So for example, say we had 20, and what we want to do is we want this loop to continue while my number is greater than 0. And what we'll do is every time we go round the loop, we'll basically take 1 away from my number. So my number in this instance will go 20, 19, 18, 17. Notice how when we get to this point, I can reuse my number. I didn't actually have to, but we'd actually finish with my number in this loop. So now I'm just using it again. So I've saved it. Let's try it again. Click refresh. And let's go down. There we go. So starts with 20 and goes down and down and down and down and down all the way, just like that, until we get to 1. Now here I'm taking 1 away. Of course we don't have to do that. What we could do is we could, so I'm just going to reuse that line. You know, we could subtract 2 each time, something like that. I'll delete that. Save. Back over here, click refresh. So this time around we start with a value of 20, and of course what happens is as we progress around the loop, we're subtracting 2 until my number is no longer greater than 0. At that point that returns false and we drop out of the loop.